Hi everybody, Sean here for the Sean Talks Movies podcast. I am here with a brand new instant reaction video. I just got out of a very controversial film. One that has been making some waves on the internet there. It's a new little comedy called Ghostbusters. You may have heard of this movie. It is actually a remake and or reboot of the 1984 classic film, which also had a sequel, I think, in the late 80s, I'm not sure. But I want to preface my instant reaction by saying that I am not the biggest fan of the original Ghostbusters film. I think it's fun, I think it's funny, but it's not, if I never watch it again, I'm going to be fine. And I bring that up because I think there's been a lot of this controversy because the new film has an all-female cast. It's starring Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, and Leslie Jones are your new Ghostbusters. Couple new faces as well. You have Chris Hemsworth as their secretary. Most of the old cast shows up in cameos here and there, but you've probably heard about that. Sadly, Rick Moranis does not, but nobody was really expecting him to. Let's talk about the movie, because I know that I have some friends out there, some who have loved the movie and some who have absolutely hated it. I really liked the movie. I thought it did a very good job of actually being its own film. There were definitely quite a few nods back to the original film, which is fine. I mean, anytime you do a remake of something this iconic, you're gonna have stuff like that. But they did enough to distance themselves and kind of start fresh with a new perspective. And I like how they updated everything. One of my problems with the original Ghostbusters movie is that it feels very 80s, and I'm not huge on that kind of 80s brand of humor. They did enough here to really update it for a 21st century type story. Now, what we're getting here is kind of an interesting twist. If you guys follow Melissa McCarthy's career, I personally think she has had some of her best performances when she's directed by Paul Feig, which this film was also directed by him. Some of the other movies that they've done together were Bridesmaids, The Heat, and last year's Spy. I'm not sure if I like this movie quite as much as Spy, just because I kind of like the conventions of them going into the spy genre with that movie, because it's called Spy. She's playing the most straightforward character. I don't want to say the straight man, but that's essentially what she is. Kristen Wiig is a little bit more. They're generally the kind of out there characters, but with Ghostbusters, they rein it in a little bit and allow Kate McKinnon and Leslie Jones to kind of be the out there characters, which works really well. I thought all four of them were great. They worked really well together. Kate McKinnon steals the show 100%. And I thought Leslie Jones did a really good job too. I don't know whether she's been in a movie before. I know that both of them came from Saturday Night Live, but they both brought a really great screen presence to the film. Chris Hemsworth also does a very good job, steals a few scenes here and there because he's playing his very dumb self all the way through the movie. And it's just nice to see Thor be an idiot, you know, more so than he already is in the Marvel movies, so that's perfectly fine. Now, for those of you out there, and I know that there's people that I know personally that are concerned about seeing this movie or flat out banning themselves from seeing the movie simply because of the fact that they have cast women in the role. And I need to speak to that really quickly. That is 100% unwarranted because they do a fantastic job. They create brand new characters that really fit within the mold of it. And one thing that's amazing about this movie, and it's something that I think Paul Feig does really well, is he crafts characters for women who are not just the stereotypical women characters that we've seen for years and years and years. The great thing about these characters is 3 of them are scientists, and they delve into the science behind everything they're doing, and it's not just about, like, it's not explained, you know, they're throwing out all this jargon that I don't know what they're talking about. For all I know, I mean, with all the paranormal stuff, who knows, it may or may not be real jargon, but the fact that they're just throwing it out with no explanation shows that these characters in and of themselves are written as though they should just be, this is how they are, and that's what they're doing. And then you have Leslie Jones, who's bringing a different angle to that, and she's like the historian of New York City within the context of the film, and together they make this team that works really well. On top of that, they're pretty much badasses at the end of the movie, and Kate McKinnon probably deserves an action film after this one just because of one scene. Granted, it was in slow motion, and I'm not a fan of slow motion, but that's besides the point. If you are holding out on seeing Ghostbusters just because they cast 4 women as Ghostbusters and you're worried about Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ernie Hudson being thrown under the bus. It's ridiculous. There's no point for you to hold out on seeing this movie or give it any hate just for that. If you really want to hate it because you don't like the movie in and of itself or what it's doing, it's not perfect. I'm not saying that. There's a few things in terms of the comedy that I am not 100% on board with, because I think it's very much this vein of 21st century comedy that kind of started in the early 2000s with kind of the Rat Pack, the Will Ferrell and all that, of taking everything one step further than is necessary. And this kind of falls into that, but that's just comedy in 2016. That's how most comedies are going to work. So they're kind of just fitting into that vein in a sense. But this is a very good movie. It's very enjoyable. I found myself laughing the entire way through. Very well written in terms of some of the dialogue, and the story is different enough from the original movie that you are getting a fresh perspective on kind of this madness and mayhem of everything happening in the midst of New York City. And any movie that can make a reference to Jaws is 100% going to have my vote of confidence. I'm shocked that nobody told me about that going in, and I'm glad they didn't, because it was a great moment. So, if you guys are holding out on Ghostbusters for reasons that you shouldn't be holding out on it, do yourselves a favor, go check it out, try to go in with an open mind, and just enjoy it. It's a fun, enjoyable comedy. There's a couple moments of, it's not really delving into the horror the way that the original movie tried to do. It's more straight comedy and some action here and there, but this is fun. It's a fun, good summer popcorn picture with well-crafted characters, and I think it's important that movies like this continue to be made. So if you guys like that, make sure you guys are checking out all the other instant reaction videos that I have. I've got like 5 or 6 of them now out there right now. Also, be sure you guys are checking out, I'll be doing a full review on Ghostbusters, as I've been doing with some of the other movies that I've been seeing, and I'll probably go a little bit more in depth. I've been trying to do a lot of those reviews just to give you guys a full take on what exactly my thoughts are with these movies. Also, be sure that you guys are checking out all of the social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There are links to to all those in the description below. And let's see, check out the YouTube stuff. And when you guys want to hear about movies, who are you gonna call? Me. You can call me.